Hey everyone, this is Lauren from the Counseling Center. Today I'm here to talk to you about exam stress. I think it's the perfect time of year to talk about that. Everyone has exams coming up, and there's a lot of anxiety right now. And with everything online, I'm sure the anxiety is a lot different. So, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what exam stress looks like, why it happens, and some tips to help yourself move past it. So sometimes we can get really stressed out and not even realize what that means for us. So these are some signs that you can look at to see if you are experiencing exam stress. You might feel like you've lost touch with friends, you may feel irritable, you might have a really difficult time getting motivated, you could have trouble sleeping, feeling really overwhelmed, tense muscles or headaches, upset stomach, fidgeting. These are all things that show up when we're experiencing stress. And if you think that this might be something you're experiencing right now, it could be due to upcoming exams. So, some reasons that people feel stressed from exams are because one, you might be afraid that you could fail. It's, something that's on the back of everyone's minds. What if I don't pass? And I think that negative self talk can make us really anxious, and then it can kind of freeze us up when we start to study for exams. Negative self talk, like I mentioned, if you feel like you might not do a good job, if you feel like you didn't prepare enough, if you feel like you don't know the material, if you feel like you're not a good test taker, and then you keep repeating these things to yourself over and over, that's a lot of negative self talk, and it can really kind of seep its way into our brains and minds and be a really big distraction. Having performance anxiety. So, if you are someone who has a difficult time always taking tests, or you always get nervous before tests, this might be bringing up that old anxiety. Wanting to get a certain result. I know there's a lot of pressure out there from family and pressure that we put on ourselves to try to get a really good exam result, and that pressure can just make it so much harder to focus, makes it harder to study, and it puts just so much pressure on us when we make something that's might possibly be unattainable. So it's make sure to set realistic expectations for yourself. You might have a limited time to study, and that would definitely stress anybody out. I'm sure now, with what's happening in the world, there's a little bit more time available to some, but that might not be the case for everybody. So, having limited time to study is definitely something that is really stressful. Feeling unprepared. Sometimes teachers can surprise us with things on tests, and we might not feel totally prepared to handle that. If we feel like we didn't study enough, or feel like we didn't, the teacher didn't do a good job, or, whatever the case may be, if you feel unprepared in that way, it can definitely spur on a lot of anxiety. Feeling competitive. If you want to, have the best grade in the class, do better than your friends, that kind of thing. That also, again, puts a lot of pressure on yourself and can increase a lot of anxiety at this time. You might feel pressure from your family also to do really well, and that's definitely a huge stressor. And that's a lot of pressure to feel when other people have really high expectations, and that can get really overwhelming also. So I think it's really important to talk about how to prepare yourself to study. So, for example, it's a really good idea to try to find a quiet place to study without distractions. And that could be hard right now, because if you are quarantined at home or with roommates, it might be really hard to find your own space. So it's really important that you try to find a private area where you can have like uninterrupted silence and time to really focus. Definitely try to find a space that's not cluttered so that you're not distracted, and it definitely makes it a lot easier to work when you're in a clean and nice organized work environment. Find out as much as you can about the exam beforehand. So if you are feeling a little bit in the dark about what the exam will look like, you can reach out to your teacher, find out what the format of the test will be, what kind of questions, if there's certain topics that are going to be on the test. It's always important to try to find out as much as you can because that'll help to ease some of the anxiety. You can even reach out and ask your advisor for help, or if there's a TA for the class, or if the teacher has office hours. It's definitely a good idea to reach out and see what you can, gather from them so that you kind of know what to expect. Make a study plan. If you're someone who is able to get a little more organized and stay on task when you have kind of a plan in front of you, I would definitely highly recommend that. It's hard when we're in quarantine because we don't really have a daily schedule that's super strict. I think we're used to really having scheduled days, and what you can do is try to schedule your study time and try to organize it in a way that makes sense for you and kind of so that you have a plan to follow. Definitely take breaks. Short, regular breaks are really important. If you go hours and hours on end with studying, it can get really overwhelming and really stressful. So it's definitely important to remember to take breaks when you can. Definitely, try to take care of yourself as well during this time. Make sure you're going to bed at a reasonable time, eating regularly, and trying to, get outside, get some exercise. All of those things help. I think sleep is really important too. At night when we sleep, it's our brain's chance to recharge, and it helps us with our long-term memory, and it makes our mind a lot sharper. So definitely be sure to get a really good night's sleep. Also, I think like a reward system can be really cool when you're studying. So, for example, you could say to yourself, okay, after studying for an hour, I will watch like a 30-minute Netflix show, something that you can kind of look forward to and reward yourself with, and that will help break up the day a little bit more as well, and kind of helps you put in those breaks that I was just talking about to try to break up the work so that you're not trying to get it all done all at once. And try to find some relaxing activities that you like to do, like breathing, meditating, listening to music. All of those can be really helpful to ease anxiety and calm yourself down before the exam. I know it's a really stressful time for everybody. So here are some tips for what you can do for exam day to make sure that things go smoothly. Definitely get yourself organized the night before. So if you need to, get anything in order, get ready, prepare your materials, anything that you think that would be helpful for you, you can do that the night before so that you're not, stressing yourself out trying to get everything ready right at once. Definitely, have a good breakfast. If you're feeling anxious before the exam, just try to focus on your breathing and trying to calm yourself down and relaxing. And, taking deep breaths is really, really important. Definitely, try to focus on maybe the easiest parts of the exam first, what you recognize, what you're able to knock out really fast. I think that's a good technique for time management and kind of easing the anxiety while you're taking a test. Just remember that you can kind of knock out what you already know ahead of time, and that will then give you more time to focus on what you might need to spend more time on. So I know this is a really stressful time for everybody. Just remember it's really important to get a lot of good sleep, eat healthy, reach out for support from your teachers or friends if you need it. It can be really daunting to manage anxiety during this time, and definitely want to tell everyone good luck and do your best.